Well, welcome friends now to our latest episode of the Pirate Round. I be Captain Skultopus and this be Scarlet Raven. Now, as we do every episode, we start it with a toast to our friends, to those who support us and those who watch our show, and those friends who are here and those friends who hope to be here soon, and those friends who have long departed us, and family members and such who we keep in our hearts, in our memories.
Friends not yet met either.
That's true. Not yet met, and friends we hope to see soon. And we say to you, Yar har! Welcome to the Pirate Round.
Now I want to take a quick little moment here to announce
crap!
Too much rum there, Captain.
Aye.
To announce that the Pirate Round is planning on going to the Northwest Pirate Fest in Lacey, Washington in July.
True. That's true.
I believe it's around the 12th or 13th of July.
Oh, excellent.
But look for it. Look for us. We are planning on making a sailing journey up to that part. And we hope to see you and meet you.
Quite true. So, now, any sort of discussion about piracy cannot be really completed without talking about economics. And when you look at it that way, piracy was a way to sort of short-circuit the matters of trade and such by taking wealth from the rich and giving it directly to the poor, that being those poor seamen, of course, aboard pirate ships. And they would sort of like rob from the rich and give to the poor, and it almost like a seagoing Robin Hoods in a way.
Now, we know that a lot of pirates were working with governors and lieutenant governors and big merchants in the time of piracy. They would take their goods that they captured and bring them back and sell them. And in the New World, that was quite a big thing, because the noose of England was quite tight, and they either wouldn't get things that they wanted or needed, or they would have to pay an extraordinary fee to get those items. And it was it's quite the stranglehold on those in the Americas. So what a better way to get these goods than to buy them off a pirate or a privateer and then sell them at a much lower price and make money that way.
Ah, true. And that brings up what is called the Navigation Acts. And those were acts that were passed there in England that stipulated that those people, merchants in the colonies, could not do any trade at all, except that within England itself. Of course, at English prices and none other. Well, that's not quite fair, because what if the Spanish are selling something cheaper, and you should be able to buy from them, or the French? But no, because of the Navigation Acts, why, if you're that sort of merchant, well, you have to knuckle under them to the crown that's far away over in London, and you have to say, well, I've got to buy this here sort of goods at inflated prices to make the lords in England wealthy. Well, merchants in America, well, they're not putting up with that, I tell you, we being Americans and such, and we're saying, no, we're buying from any ship we can. And we're going to buy from privateers, we're going to buy from outright pirates, we're going to buy from the French, and we're going to buy from the Spanish, whoever we can, and we're going to make a profit by damn ya. And perhaps some of those tax monies will never find their way over to England to the crown.
So it brings us up to a point that we were talking about here a while back. In one of our discussions we often have in the evening over a good bottle of, or a good drink of rum.
True.
Is, what if the pirates were really working as kind of as an insurance scam?
Well, now we talk about the rise of the insurance companies. So, the shippers from London, shipping their goods out from England and sorts, would insure their property and say, well, this ship now, it'd be insured for £600. It carries goods, it's going to make itself all the way over to the New World, and because of storm or pirates, well, if it doesn't make it, then those who have taken out the policy then would be paid. Now, what if you happen to have a piratey friend? And so it would say, well, off the coast of Rhode Island then, I was set upon by the dread pirate Bartholomew Robarts, and he took my load and ran off with it. Well, now the ship's owner, of course, and the captain, who sometimes was the ship's owner, would be paid that £600 from the insurance company as compensation. However, what if you were in league with the dread pirate Bartholomew Roberts, and he took your goods and took it and sold them and then made money off them himself, but also split it with you, so that you got a little bit on the side from that. The goods made their way to the New World where they should have gone, but yet you were able to bilk out the insurance company in England for the full £600. Now that's not quite honest, and we call that insurance fraud. However, my guess is because many of these captains, knew each other from battles in the wars and sailing, and they said, we'll work in consort with each other and damn the lords back in England, and we'll make a little bit of extra money off this.
So, which brings us to maybe Blackbeard might have been on the take.
Well, I think so too. He was a very ferocious captain with quite a bit of reputation. He was a tall man, had a dark clothes and very dark hair and a very imposing figure. And he would braid cannon fuses into his long beard and light them on fire, and he would wreathe himself with smoke. And he looked like a demon from hell, I'm sure.
And having that flag with the demon spear in the heart with blood.
Stabbing the heart and blood flying on his flag, his colours. And he must have presented, a very imposing appearance. Now, and who would doubt a ship's captain if he'd said, well, I was set upon by Blackbeard and he took my my load, and I didn't dare fight back because he would kill the lot of us, so I had to surrender. And Blackbeard then would be in possession of that load without firing a shot.
So maybe then that the captain and him had something worked out, maybe.
Perhaps.
And maybe that's why there really wasn't a fight, and maybe there's this whole intimidation factor, and you tell this story because, a lot of pirates had a little bit of a struggle, fire off some rounds and take some crew, and of course you keep up that reputation too by taking some of the crew.
That's true. It's better now than not to fight, but rather to take a ship purely through intimidation, so that you don't damage the ship or damage any goods or create any ill will amongst the men, because you want to recruit men from that merchant ship and bring them onto your crew, so you have a much larger crew. And now from this ship that Blackbeard might have taken, he would take the load and send the ship upon its way, and that ship that they had been taken then would go to a port in New York or Boston and report that their load had been stolen. And thus then the owners of the ship, and it might be the captain or other people who had invested, would then collect the pounds from the insurance company, from liability. However, the load itself would not be lost. Blackbeard would take it to another port and sell it and fence it at a lower cost, and then take that money and then share it around, and perhaps even give some to the captain of that ship or even to the owners of that ship as a way to defraud the insurance company then and make a little bit of extra money off in the end, but also to make sure that those goods had made it into the New World where they belong.
Now, we know that the Blackbeard was, we heard that he was possibly trying to go straight and narrow by settling in Charlestown, and we know that the governor of Virginia, maybe he was a little bit mad that he wasn't getting part of the take, or he was getting cut out, and he found out that Blackbeard was part of this insurance fraud. What better way than to go after Blackbeard, thinking, we'll take him out, we'll get rid of the problem?
Well, it's like rival gangs fighting over a territory. The Sharks and the Jets, as they say, fighting it over to say who's going to control this here territory. And if you want to read more about Blackbeard, there's many books. A lot of them we don't know a whole lot about him, but more and more is coming up every year, and we learn more about him as a pirate and as a man. And one of the first I read was Blackbeard by Angus Constam. A lot of speculation in here. They don't know a whole lot at this time when the book was written about him, and it's a great deal of legend and lore. But it's a good place to start, and it gives you a good foundation about the golden age of piracy and that time period and all the other pirates, and about the lay of the land, so to speak, about all the things that were happening at the time, the historical context. And this would be a good book to start. Angus Constam, of course, is a great a writer, and it's called Blackbeard, and it's got a sword on the front dripping blood on the Blackbeard. He even intimidates us from the grave, so to speak.
I have to ask you, of all the Blackbeards that you've ever seen portrayed on the celluloid film, who's your favourite?
Well, there's quite a few. We liked Robert Newton because in the earlier Blackbeard movies, now he sort of determined
how we talk like pirates.
Determined how we would talk by pirates by saying Maynard, Maynard, I've asked ye, bring me and I've got a pain in me gullet, Maynard. He would have his sort of Bristolian sort of accent, and he would speak that way. And so now on September 19th on Talk Like a Pirate Day, well, you all got to talk like Blackbeard.
Yar!
Yar! So it's interesting though, because there's been other pirates, other people who've played Blackbeard. I would say one of the most interesting is in the TV show Black Sails, which we'll talk about again. And we had Ray Stevenson.
He's got to be my favourite.
I would agree. A very large man, very tall, very imposing, very intimidating, and with quite a bit of reputation. However, of course, those of you who have seen the show, you've got to say that one of the shortcomings of the show is how Blackbeard is dealt with there in that show. So we won't go into that now, because it's an entire episode of the Pirate Round that we can talk about.
Also James Purfoy.
Well, James Purfoy, he did play Blackbeard in sort of a History Channel sort of thing. And, I thought he did a fairly good job. He's a good actor. He has the accent and stuff. And I thought he did a fairly good job of playing Blackbeard.
I think my least favourite is White Chin Whiskers.
Well, now we don't know so much about that show because it supposedly takes place after Blackbeard faked his own death and moved away and started
his own paradise.
His pirate paradise. So we will reserve judgment upon White Chin Whiskers for now. Now it's interesting. One of the first times I've ever heard of Blackbeard was Blackbeard's Ghost, the Disney movie, with Peter Ustinov as Blackbeard. And I remember reading the novelization of it and the book. And they talk a lot about Blackbeard's Ghost and a little bit about Blackbeard's history in that. And I remember being absolutely intrigued by the legend and the lore of Blackbeard and the piracy and the stuff. And I remember in one scene in the book, and not so much in the movie itself is sort of ridiculous. Even though Peter Ustinov does a very good job, as Blackbeard. In the movie, Blackbeard has come back from the dead and he's tearing around through his old house in Carolina, built in the 1600s, and the thing is built like a fortress, and thick walls and the dead drops and blind rooms and ceilings and false rooms, and he tears himself through one of the walls and he tears down a door and finds a bottle of rum that's been in the wall since the 1600s and he tears open the neck and he takes a big jug and he goes, "Arr! Bites like the devil, but still good after all these years." As a child reading that, I thought, oh, now that's something else, Great story. The legend and lore around Blackbeard, for a pirate, he actually, he has more reputation than legend than so many other pirates, but in many ways, he was not that successful.
No, but we're finding out more about him.
So intriguing.
There's many names for Blackbeard. There's Edward Thatch and Edward Thatch and Thatcher. And they're actually, I believe, recently I was reading, and I think you read it too, about how they've actually traced down his family, and how in the Jamaicas where he's actually from, and then went on over to the Englands to sail and try and help his family out because his father died when he was fairly young, and he needed to help support the family, and he loved his mother deeply. And then, of course, with Queen Anne's Revenge, they're finding out more about that. And why would Blackbeard really want to sink such a fine ship? Well, drawing attention to yourself. Such a big ship draws a lot of attention. It's like having the biggest gun on the block.
Yeah, and of course you'd be a target for everyone then. I must say, I've always held to my personal belief that Blackbeard was born in the colonies. And, and they say that he had quite a thick, curly black beard. I've always wondered if perhaps he was part African-American.
If he didn't have some.
Yeah.
Yes, possibly.
And very, very tall, very dark, very muscular and imposing. I've often wondered if perhaps he wasn't part African-American, born there in the colonies in the Caribbean somewhere. and then decided to make his way through life, perhaps with a bit of smarts. I will say the one thing: one of the most sought after books in my mind should always be Blackbeard's journal that was taken upon his
What a
ship.
treasure that'd be worth a fortune.
Well,
if it ever
the
came.
information contained, because they say that Blackbeard was quite literate, and he always kept his journal entries. And in addition to his head being severed from his body by the British Royal Navy
Pickled.
crew, and they pickled his head and took it away, they also took his journal, which has never showed up. And I've got to wonder exactly what was in that journal and what actual events and stuff that it does describe, and what benefits to history would actually be in that book. A very interesting idea.
So anyway, we'll finish up this round.
We hope you enjoyed it. A bit of pirate history today, friends. And we say to you now, thank you so much for supporting us and for watching our show on the Pirate Round. From myself, Captain Skultopus, and the Scarlet Raven, I say to you, thank you, friends, for supporting us and watching our show. And I say to you now, don't ever let anyone grind you under their boot heel. Always stand tall and firm, because you'll be a pirate. And I tell you, you don't have to take shite from no one if you're a pirate.
Always be yourself and always be strong.
And smooth sailing to ya.
Smooth sailing, yar har.
Yar har.